Hey, Raghu.
Hey,
It's
good
all-
day. I don't know where you are. So
Oh,
that's
yeah. I'm in Amsterdam, actually.
Amsterdam. Very nice. Okay, it'll be good, almost good afternoon or good evening, maybe. So
Yeah, it's 5 p.m., so I'm rounding up my day. Yeah. Where are you based?
I'm based in Austin, Texas.
Nice. It's morning for
At least
you.
you can see a Texas behind. That's where I studied UT long time back.
Nice. Hey, Xing.
Hello. This meeting sounds like every time you have to register and then otherwise it's a lot of steps to join the meeting.
Good. I thought it was just reserved for me. So
This is a new process. It was not like this before. It used to be just like a link. Anybody click that link, then you're in the meeting.
yeah.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Kshif.
Hi, Chef.
Looks like it's just us today.
Yeah, we maybe give 1 more minute and see, then we can continue. I think we can, let's see, what's our last time's agenda. Oh, the notes. I think we should put this notes like pinned it on this channel. I'm actually, let's see how to do that. Pin, I'll figure out that later. Otherwise, it's hard to find this. It's not a Google Doc, so okay. Okay, find it. Yeah, so this is the meeting notes that we had. We probably should get started, right? Is this, I think this meeting is get recorded automatically, I believe. Yeah, okay, we don't even, yeah, we don't even have to worry about that. So we can just start. Hi, Karina. I just see Karina just joined.
I have a or I have to drop at the bottom of the hour, but I wanted to at least jump in and say hi.
Oh,
Hey, thank you for joining.
Bruno.
That's great. So yeah, let's just get started. So yeah, so we can just use this doc. Routines. Is that your name? And notes. Hey, Dylan, see that you joined. So last time we were working on the charter. So I think we should just continue work on this one.
Oh,
The charter.
for some reason, I cannot log into the notes app, but I'll sort it out later.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's not
I
allowing
think
me
you
to sign
just
in via
click
GitHub.
on. Oh,
I had to sign in via GitHub. I have a GitHub account, but somehow it's like even that is not working for me.
okay. Last time I thought you guys were able to.
Yeah, I was, but not
Just
this time.
continuously looping. If I click sign in, it brings me to sign in page, and then I click sign in again.
Yeah,
Yes, same problem.
And add your names. That's okay. So maybe I will add your names now.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I'll just copy from here first.
Thanks.
Jimmy is not here, right?
No, it's just Chief Dylan, Raghu, me. Oh.
It's not here.
Could someone drop a link to the notes in the
Yeah,
chat?
for sure.
Oh, yes.
Put it in the Zoom chat.
It's in this chat.
Oh, no.
Yeah, if you come here. Screen. Oops, sorry. Here. We missed anyone? That's it, right? Okay. Okay, so let's go to the stock. What do I? Oh, that's this one. If I click, it does not go there. Okay. So looks like we got other sub sections filled out. I think last time we had one question for TOC. So now, Karina, you're here. I think now we can actually look at this question, right? So this is this compute part. This is a subdomain, but we were wondering. It looks like this overlaps with the TAG workload foundation. So we kind of right now this is all copied from the old TAG runtime charter, but it sounds like all of this are also in workload foundation. So we're not sure if what do we say here? We just say this is covered by workload.
I think from last time we were trying to understand indeed what sort of the vision is from the TOC for tag infrastructure around compute, because it's incredibly broad, and we want to avoid scope creep. I think that's the main concern indeed.
Yeah. So speaking of scope creep, one thing that the TOC is asking all of the tags to add into out of scope, just to hop ahead a little bit, is anything end user related. And so the focus is on projects, what guidance you can give to projects, and the ecosystem. So going back to, I think Dylan wants to jump in and say something. Maybe I should hear what you say before I keep going.
Dylan has a note here. Anything not?
No, I mean, if you want to finish, go ahead. But I did want to chime in on the overlap between workload foundations and info.
Well, let's hear what you have to say, and then we can dive into
Okay.
it.
So I think there's definitely probably an overlap. There's definitely an overlap when specifically you get into kind of runtime and containerd, and but I think there's a symbiotic relationship here with the tags where probably the separation between the actual runtime charter in terms of the infrastructure, probably kernel level, probably how the some of the I know I pulled up their draft tag, and they call out like operating systems, runtime, virtual machines, serverless. So those are all things that we can think about that run in kind of the user space. Whereas probably things that are optimized more for the kernel level, but are still considered within compute, is definitely more within our space. So like in here, we call out compute as orchestration, auto-scaling, scheduling, execution, container runtimes, all, that sort. That is probably something we want to hand over to workload foundations. That's kind of, I think, the core of their part of their charter. Whereas we probably will want to kind of call out that specialized architectures, maybe, virtualization, optimization, kernel, is more of like, and especially down in here, those incorporating specialized computing elements beyond CPUs, like GPUs, TPUs, like that is where I think this tag should focus on more, is definitely more on the hardware level, the kernel space, and we can kind of draw this distinction from user space with the runtimes and orchestration versus the actual infrastructure layer. And we can have that kind of nice division of responsibility.
I would agree. Something that we'd also like to see are the tags to collaborate more, which is why we have the private tag leads channel. So these topics it would help to, as you're thinking through, this would be a good initiative, thinking through GPUs and efficiency or whatever you're thinking, right? Or performance. And then saying, hey, in the channel, we're looking at this area, other tags, would you like to be involved? Because you're going to have overlap. There's never going to be strict boundaries, right? That's just the nature of our business, right? Our
Yeah.
tech area. So
I
yeah.
want to just kind of add, and I think, sorry, about to concur and support Dylan's point of view. I think I see it the same way, especially the infrastructure part of it, CPUs, GPUs, and new things coming out, right? So anything kernel down, that is infrastructure and virtualization. I think you can also add, I don't know if you need to think about on-prem versus off-prem versus hybrid clouds. I don't know where that gets covered, but that's also infrastructure in a way, right? So we could think along those lines. So yes, agree with that.
Okay, so should I just remove this part? Or maybe Dylan, you want to?
Yeah, I
Oh.
can
Yeah.
own this section and rewrite it and
Okay.
suggest changes.
Awesome.
So really quickly, you're never going to get out of, it would be good to see guidance around virtualization from an infrastructure perspective, because you're going to have it both from the support infrastructure, right? As well as, workloads. So thanks, Dylan. It's awesome.
I just check some notes. Okay, great. So I think we can just maybe go over the rest of the sections and see if anyone have comments.
Sure, yeah. So from last meeting, we concluded that we had to add sovereignty and networking and sort of rephrase infrastructure lifecycle to infrastructure management. So I've updated.
This part, right?
Yeah,
This
I've
part we
updated-
changed it a little bit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've updated that one, and I've updated or added sovereignty, and I've sort of updated and reworked networking to be more inclusive of the different projects.
Okay. Yes, we can just go over the sections and then, any comments can. Okay, so let me just, okay, the first is data. Any comments? Of course, you can also add comments later. But if there's anything like jumps out, you can comment now. Okay, if there's nothing here, then next session is storage.
There are many forms of databases. The word database is not clearly called out, right? So it's like
Databases is actually, we actually have it here.
storage. Okay, sorry.
So we have, yeah. So yeah, so this include blog file.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything around, I don't know, you need to call out data as like it's streaming data versus data at rest?
I'm sorry?
Streaming data?
Streaming data. So streaming is, actually, that's a good point. We actually added it in here. I think we actually added a section in the new storage landscape white paper. So we can add it here. Yeah. So that's another one. Streaming messaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So those are kind of the type of things covered in the storage landscape white paper.
A question on streaming and messaging. Is
Mhm.
this sort of storage subdomain just for storage persistence? Because streaming and messaging opens up a whole extra domain in terms of like contracts, data validation, and those kind of things. What kind of streaming and
This
messaging?
is like, okay, so let me actually go to the, let me just go to that, our doc. Let's tag storage. So we have that in here. Oh, you know what? I don't think we actually published it yet. That's actually a good point. We actually should publish that paper now, actually, because this was part of the old tag, right? So it's not in V2 of the paper, which is showing here, but we actually published that paper in V3. Sorry, we actually updated that paper in a Google Doc. We updated that section, but we have not really published that one. So actually, that's a good. We can actually that would be one thing. Let me actually add it here. So in our right. So storage landscape by paper, we actually should. So should this be like an initiative now, Karina? So it's like, okay, so storage landscape white paper V3, right? So this is something that we have a Google Doc, but I don't think we get a chance to publish that yet. So maybe that should be should we just create a initiative for this?
Yes, please, an initiative. And then what I'm also noticing, so through the tags, so one suggestion is as you're hosting, it'd be great if somebody else is taking notes so that everybody is engaged and involved.
Yeah, so this mean to be everybody can add notes, but I think for some reason they
if somebody else is responsible, everybody can add in, but it'd be great if somebody volunteers for notes as well.
Yeah, so like last time I think everybody are collaborating on taking notes, but have you guys figured out how to do this? Because we were able to do it last time. We have multiple people taking notes actually.
Yeah, I would love to, but for some reason GitHub is not allowing me to communicate.
Do you have is this in the CNCF? So do you have an LFX account, or are you?
Yeah, my LFX account is connected to my GitHub. Yeah.
And is your GitHub, are you in the, all right, this is something that we'll figure out. So I have a meeting with Ron on Friday, so I'll bring this up.
Thanks.
I'm in the notes, so I can take notes well.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I think last time we actually have several people just adding notes, which works well. But yeah, but with this new thing, we are still learning. So it's like you know, get access to this, and also like the Zoom also, right? There's just there were some extra steps compared to before.
I know there's a lot of moving pieces right now, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I was actually, this is the, okay, I was trying to go to that doc. So that Google Doc, I can probably share with you later because there is a Google Doc for the V3 of the paper, where we added this streaming and messaging. So if you can maybe add a notes there, just say that I'll share the paper.
One thing that's also a lot I'm reading about in the developments in the industry is around lake houses. So they may all come as a subset of databases. And I think that's what was data warehouses to data lakes to now it's becoming lake houses with Apache Iceberg format and all that. So I don't know. Just throwing it up there in case it kind of triggers some thoughts whether That
We
should
didn't
be
have it
scope
here,
one.
but we were actually looking into that. There was another paper that we are working on, which is AI and storage related. So that's another thing we can have that one as an initiative as well. So in that paper, we are looking at lake houses,
Okay.
the lakes, and yeah.
So how is it transitioning? I mean, I think this we are trying to put a fresh charter, is what I'm seeing now. So that
Mhm.
whatever that's in the paper, we just carry it over here, or what's the
So
thoughts?
I believe the new thing is just to we can create some initiatives, and then for the white, if you want to write a white paper, you can request to have an initiative. If it's approved by TOC, then we can continue to work on that. I
Okay.
believe that's the new process.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
as we get going, right
Mhm.
now the TOC is approving initiatives, and then as we get further along, the tags can approve the initiatives themselves. So just to
Oh,
bootstrap
okay, I see.
and get rolling. So this one, it would be a great initiative, and we're also looking for smaller, maybe not a lengthy white paper, but smaller forms of guidance or technical documents that are easier for people to get engaged with, as well as review and get approved, so that it's a quicker turnaround. So just keep that in mind.
Good direction.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments about this section? I probably should actually add some comments right here because this is so paper.
Once you say storage, then there's a whole lot of things about
Yeah.
disaster recovery and all of those things. I don't know. This can
That's
just
in the
become a big.
paper. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, that is actually all in there is a storage landscape white paper.
Okay.
Have all of those there. So this section is kind of, it's very short, right?
I don't think it's necessary to put everything, I guess, here in the charter. Like, we can elaborate
Right.
those on the paper, right?
Yeah. So we already have that paper. There's a DR white paper. There is also a section about that in the storage landscape white paper. That's all covered. It's just the charter. If you look at the charter itself, this is pretty much from the tag storage charter, right? So this does not have everything covered, but it's actually there. Yeah. So this part is relatively short. So I'll just say add this one. This paper. Find the reference. V3 paper. Okay. So next section is networking.
So networking also will have an infrastructure element in terms of routers and switches and all that, right?
I think that's a really good question. Something we haven't considered I don't think we have considered the hardware perspective for each of these subdomains. Because right now we're really focused on like the networking projects, think of Envoy, Istio, these kind of projects. I haven't heard anyone bring up networking hardware yet. Same for storage hardware or other kind of hardware. How do you view this, Zhang, Karina, Dylan, Shiv?
Yeah, we haven't been.
Is there
focusing-
any project actually which is dealing with such hardware level? I don't think so, right? At least I'm not aware.
Right. I think even previously at tech storage, we're not really dealing with hardware. We mentioned that, saying that's like part of the stack, but we're not really focusing on hardware.
I would probably call hardware out as out of scope. If it ever becomes in scope, then you can update the charter and have the TOC approve.
Mhm.
But right now, I would say it's out of scope.
So I can bring in one example. So I am a maintainer of a project called Metal Cube. It brings on Kubernetes provisioning on top of bare metal. But then there, when we are talking about provisioning on bare metal, we don't really say specifically which type of all kinds or different sorts of hardware in that.
Yeah, that's a fantastic example. If any project is super close to hardware, it's yours.
So in the +1, to sort of keep hardware out of scope, it sort of blows the scope up way too big. And there aren't a lot of projects that sort of fit the cloud native definition that also span like hardware. So, okay.
I would just like to add, well, hardware, I think it's a little too ambiguous to just kind of say hardware is out of scope. I think it'll cause confusion. I think what we're trying to say is that maybe like procurement, hardware design, chip architecture, that type of stuff is definitely without of our scope. But I think there's still an area of what I would consider like managing hardware that we want to make sure that is still in scope, and maybe is something that gets wrapped up as part of the compute section, or even within network or storage, there are hardware components that is, I think, within scope of this tag to kind of, especially as as things evolve. There's a lot more companies now that run private clouds or run multi-cloud, both public and private. And so we want to be very careful about just kind of blanket saying that hardware is out of scope, because those companies deal with are trying to bring cloud native practices and managing hardware and bare metal. And so we want to be prescriptive about saying like what parts of hardware do we not want to take on, which I think to everyone's point here, and we're all in alignment that it is a huge area that we don't want to take on, but there's maybe a small sliver around maybe kind of the management of hardware that we want to call out and say is in scope.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think I have, if I'm not mistaken, touched a bit of it in the infrastructure lifecycle section.
This is a fantastic discussion. I do have to drop. So this is fantastic and great points, Dylan. Quickly, I put Dylan into the tag leads channel. I don't know how he was overlooked, not on purpose. So if anybody else is missing, please add them. And you can add me to your private channel. We're actually encouraging the tags to not have private channels and to focus discussions in the main tag leads channel to encourage collaboration. Because the disaster recovery, if you do more work in that area, the operational resiliency tag, obviously, hopefully you would collaborate there. And then with the other, with workloads as well. So just keep that in mind. I very much appreciate all of you, but I will drop and you can continue without me. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, great.
And to add on to what I think Dylan, I pretty much concur what Dylan is saying, right? I think CNCF, the strength and kind of the value proposition of CNCF, Cloud Native Cloud Foundation, is to like have
So
hardware.
hardware management is out of scope. I thought
No, management it is. Let's say procurement, design. Maybe we want to be more prescriptive about architecture and chip design. I think it can be expanded on. We want management of hardware to be in our scope, but we don't want everything else related to hardware. I think maybe we can kind of get into do we want to, because it is, I think we could have a whole discussion on this. You know, there's parts of not just managing the hardware, but you know, you get into deeper levels of like data center. How do you rack? How do you do network topology? How do you plan hardware, you know, architecture, where stuff sits, you know, kind of like failure domains, you know, making sure that certain parts of the hardware are like, look at there's same concepts in public cloud, where in AWS you have availability zones. You make sure you're deploying stuff across availability zones. That's because stuff is being deployed on hardware in different regions and different data centers. The same applies for if you're even managing the hardware directly. You want to make sure that the hardware is in different pods or racks and even rows of racks, to make sure that if you lose a rack or if you lose a whole row, you still have hardware running that is fault tolerant. And it kind of plays into kind of disaster recovery concepts. That is kind of the type of stuff I think we should definitely consider in scope and advise on, and less on more of the supply chain, procurement, design of hardware. We're not necessarily trying to advise Cisco engineers on how they design their NICs, or how Intel engineers design their chips. Not to that level, but how we describe the different levels of hardware, and where we try to advise, whether that's overall, it can be all under the umbrella of management. But I think it's something that we should definitely call out. I think design and procurement is okay for now, and we can continue to try and expand on that.
Okay, sounds good.
Kashif.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the firmware standards and those kind of things, I think, would also be very interesting for this kind of work. Like, for example, when you're talking to the hardware, we have to make sure that it should be a hardware agnostic, in a sense that any sort of BNC that you design, it has to be so that it follows some certain standards, so that projects which are dealing with the infrastructure management are able to support protocols, or even like provisioning anything on top of those hardwares which following those sort of standards.
Okay, so
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Shiv. There's a lot of tooling that, for instance, doesn't support also chip design, like ARM64, for instance, or those kind of things. Like providing projects with the standards that we think are sort of adopted in cloud native environments, I think is a great idea.
If you have a cloud native workloads, and the cloud native workloads, the containers and all that, they need to be compiled for different architectures, correct? It has to be compiled for x86 versus compiled for ARM, or it has to be kind of have to be, say, GPU ready. So that level of visibility has to be built in the container side, right?
yeah, so those will be there. I mean, you have to be, right? Otherwise, you can't have your software running on those different type of hardware. So I'm not sure what we need to add to say that.
So maybe to be very direct here as well, right? For our progress, to avoid doing this another 2 meetings, wouldn't it be more helpful to us and this charter if we're more exclusive than inclusive, and apply for new inclusions through the DOC later? Because now I see we're expanding our scope to hardware and hardware management and all these kind of different things, like runtime architectures. I feel like we can keep on searching and adding new things, because because you can apply cloud native principles and practices to almost everything into the IT domain. I'm just wondering how you guys view this. There aren't a lot of projects right now, apart from I think Metal Cube, that is the closest to hardware and these kind of things. But mostly the projects and the initiatives we're supporting are really just cloud native projects and not that hardware related. But yeah, I'm curious how you guys are looking at this. Oh,
There are actually other projects also, not only Metal Cube in the CNCF scope, which are dealing with this kind of bare metal provisioning. I think there was Tinkerbell, there was something else, I don't recall now, Talos, for example. So there are projects. So I think it should be, I totally agree with the point that Dylan actually made initially, that there has to be something about that. But I agree with you as well that the scope is and has to be a bit limited to start with.
Now, regarding networking, this section itself, do you want to add more, or are we fine with this for now?
Yeah, that's up to you, guys. This is how I phrased it. I think it's best to ask the rest of the people here. What do they agree on?
So yeah, you can always, of course, add more comments later. That if if there's nothing that we can add now, we can definitely add later. So compute, I see that. So Dylan, you're working on this one, right? So you don't have, okay, so how can I need to give you guys writing permission. I first just need your email. And Bruno,
B, add, I posted it in the Zoom chat.
is this one?
Nope. Oh,
That's
I
not,
posted,
okay.
it's a very long last name. So it's in the Zoom chat. But thank you for doing that.
Oh, okay, just like that. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
So what's the deadline for this charter?
I think we already passed the deadline.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think what we have now, we can just submit it. So previously we have just original doc, right, from TOC, right? So we can definitely just update it. So I have this PR. I just update this one with whatever we have right now, and then people can start review and add more comments. Okay, so infrastructure management. What does the language mean?
It's just like DSLs, domain specific languages. So think of a language like HCL, which powers Terraform. Oh.
Okay. Okay, I'm just reviewing this right now. So other folks, If you have any comments, just please speak up.
I'm just reading through right now as well.
Does anyone have a link of the stock or put in the chat?
I think we gotta brush up point 2 on out of scope a little bit further. What do
We should probably expand on end user related as well. It seems a bit
yeah, that one
ambiguous.
talking about. What was the intent to put this
I think
here?
it was Karina was talking about the compute, the part. I think that's I kind of added that note here. She was talking about those the areas that Workload Foundation is working on. So that's out of scope. So maybe we can add those instead of saying end user. Yeah, this is kind of broad. Maybe we can just say at least for the compute area, right? So the area that the Workload Foundation is working on, those areas that they are covering are out of scope for us. Because so those are like related, but we are not like directly tackling those areas. Not sure what is the best way of describing those. Let's see if we have any like, okay, so, or should we just say tags, areas covered by other tags? But that's kind of obvious, right? Do we actually need to mention that? Maybe we can, if we can't think of any other way of describing this, we can just remove it. This is like, for example, if tag.
I mean, yeah, so I think everything is captured indirectly by that one point, which says anything that's not explicitly mentioned. Yeah.
Just remove that, yeah.
Yeah, so put a comment on the anticipated deliverables. Well, I was going to revisit sort of what our deliverables are from hack perspective. I think it's a better discussion to have in this meeting than me proposing something here.
Yeah.
I think we should also like figure out who the audience. So deliver to someone who the audience is. The audience to other kind of tags, other sandbox projects and all those projects, or is it like to the community, outside community in general, right? Just kind of almost an audience, and what's the delivery to the audience?
Yeah, I think this has to be a community in general, right? Otherwise, it's just too limited. What can the? Is this a question added by you, or this was here before?
Oh, that was here already. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sub-projects. Yes, initiatives. I mean, this is something we already, at least we have a few that we. I think Dylan we already have a project that is an initiative that's approved, right? So I will submit those coming from the old text storage. Yes, if others have any ideas, we can also submit more. Yeah, I'm not sure what, I mean, the white papers, it's like, so so this is here, but the initiative is also, white paper can also be an initiative, so I'm not sure what's the difference here and there. This is a white paper, right? Then here, mention white paper again.
By the way, I think one more item that the other lady mentioned, forget her thing, Angela, forget her name. She's sharing something like shorter write-ups or shorter points of view, right?
Shorter, yeah. So that's like that. Maybe that's included in here. Yeah, just some paper. Maybe we don't call it a white paper, but it's still a paper.
Yeah, it'll be like a shorter turnaround, faster reads.
Yeah. So sub-project, I think unless if we need it, I mean, this is like sub-project, I guess those are not like required, right? Sub-projects are kind of services. I think that is if we, if there is some sub-project that we want to establish. I think this is not something like required. You have to deliver a sub-project, right? Dylan, I don't know if you remember when you were in those meetings, what else did they talk about sub-projects?
So there wasn't really any suggestions for sub-projects that I have found. It mainly the distinction is they were really trying to focus in on solving the problem with working groups around things that kept going on and on and on and kept putting out deliverables rather than
Okay.
working groups that had a really concise scope and wrote a white paper and then disbanded.
Okay.
So I could see certain sub-projects for it versus initiatives where, especially in our scope and our tag, where ongoing work with end users that requires us to kind of feed information back. This was usually within the scope of the platform engineering working group within application delivery. Now they're a community group now, platform is all encompassing and it generally lands more well within workload foundation. But the example I'm trying to use here is that they wrote multiple white papers and they, and I see this in the vein of infrastructure management where we're going to possibly have ongoing work from the group that doesn't just end with a white paper. What that might be is probably more of kind of more targeted end user work, doing user interviews, trying to assess kind of a state of the union, rather than just kind of having more time-bound white papers that are written once and kind of come out that ways. A great example at the TOC level of sub-projects is kind of the project reviews. So that's something that obviously has to keep going. I don't really have many ideas at this point what could be sub-projects within the tag. We'll probably end up starting out with more initiatives, and I probably foresee initiatives evolving into sub-projects where applicable, rather than us having sub-projects off from the get-go. But what we can do to help, like maybe help facilitate, is really just try to understand, is this something that's ongoing, or is this something that has a start and an end that is focused? You know, obviously we keep coming back to the example of white papers, but there's more deliverables that can be put out. You know, some people like to mention frameworks. That's possible. Something that starts as an initiative and grows into a sub-project that keeps evolving over time.
Yeah, our previous tag, we never formed any working groups, so so we didn't have to deal with this thing of, you know, the time limit thing. We just write white papers. So yeah. Oh yeah, so we can, yeah, we will learn as we go. So probably maybe we just leave it as this, unless if other people have anything else to add in here. I think it's maybe fine, just leave it as this. Because I mean, if to facilitate, if we don't really know what subproject to form, then what do we mean to, you know? We only need to have a subproject when there is a need, right? Currently, we don't even know why we need a subproject. So I don't really see there's anything else we can add here. So we start with initiatives, as Dylan said, and if there's a need, then we can come up with other things. Otherwise, I don't see what we can facilitate here. So
yeah, we can probably just remove that sub bullet point and leave it as is, and then it can be amended over time as we have more examples.
okay, sounds good. Okay, success. I think those are just also the original text. It's probably fine for now, unless if we will learn from our experience, I guess.
Yeah, the boilerplate from the TOC, I think, is enough. I don't think we probably need the second paragraph. I think if we remove that second paragraph entirely.
Which one? Sorry, your
The-
success, this one?
Yeah, I think
Oh, okay, that's
the
okay.
expectations is, I mean, we can probably remove that entirely and then just kind of go
Mhm.
off of that our success is based on the establishment and operation of our sub-projects and initiatives. And making sure that we're constantly, I think that's just pretty straightforward, you know. It
Okay.
kind of summarizes things. Yeah, a lot of this stuff as we get kind of down into like coordination and alignment.
Yeah, those should
the
be
stuff-
standard, right? Yeah, should
Yeah,
not be text specific. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can kind of leave this as is, and I think if we look at the other TOC charters that are drafted in GitHub right now, they'll probably be exactly word for word.
Yeah.
One thing I will note, I think we're doing pretty good so far for out of scope. I think what we might want to do for the in scope is, and this is a personal opinion, but there's a lot of it's a lot of wall of text, and I wonder if we can kind of maybe summarize or bullet point some of these sections
Right.
to make it more
Mm-hmm.
more easily consumable. Not too much, because I think there is a lot of we want to be prescriptive, but we also want to be clear.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to ask the owners of each section to kind of I don't know if we want to do like a one or two sentences from the main point and then have bullet points, or because a lot of it is we're listing a lot of things. This focuses on, and it's a lot of lists,
Right.
but in paragraph form.
So I kind of look at other examples. I think it's the resiliency. What is that? There's one for operation that they kind of like this, right? I think, but theirs are more shorter. Ours is a little bit long, I think. So maybe each owner can look at it and see if we can make it shorter. We can use theirs as an example. But I don't know where is theirs. So it's okay, let's see. Where do I find that charter? I'm just trying to find their. Let's see if I can find charter. So this one, yeah, this one. I think this one, I look at this one. If you look at what they have. So you see each, okay, they just have like one sentence for each one of them.
Right.
More concise. Yeah, so ours is a little bit long.
I don't think we'll be able to get it down to one sentence, but if we can at least kind of organize the text a bit better into sublists, sub-bullet point lists, and maybe just have a sentence or two for each section, because they have more bullet points. They have what, 12 or 13, and then we have like 5 or 6, so that's okay. You know, it's okay. We can go in a little bit more detail because our subdomains and topics are grouped in lesser numbers.
Okay, so you're saying maybe, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's kind of hard to read, but like, for example, just some of this, we can make some small couple bullet points rather than come long, something like this long, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Maybe, you know, each owner, please see if you can make some.
The problem with, I agree with Dylan, but the issue is that I would say that we have actually gathered quite a good text and context of what we actually really want to put there. And I'm afraid that if we are actually going to summarize it, if we are going to lose some of it, what we have already discussed, could it be that we just open up the PR and then see how actually people are reacting?
So, okay, so maybe, you know what, I'll just update this with this first, and then maybe you guys can, so we have at least have this, right, in the PR. And then I think if you just, let's say, for example, if you can make this into a few bullet points rather than this big paragraph, that will be easier to read, maybe, something like that. Let's say even you don't even cut anything, just to make them into bullet points will be easier to read. Right.
Yeah, I think that should be fine. I want it to be kind of it being a requirement, but I think there could be a little bit of you know, a certain section, like we don't want to lose the context. I think this is really good and very prescriptive. But there's definitely sections where it says this includes A, B, C, D, E, F, and so it kind of, you know, I think we could probably help to break things up a bit.
Okay. Well, I think we are at the top of the hour. Okay, yeah, so yeah, please take a look.
Can we set some sort of an internal deadline for us? So
I'm sorry?
Can we set some sort of an internal deadline for us to actually finish this up?
Yeah, ideally we should, can folks get this one done by next week? Or I mean, it's right now we already have the content, right?
Yeah, we're just trying to edit it down. I think.
So,
do we already have the
PR is already out, yeah. So I will just update that with all of this, right? Then we can continue to work on this. So basically, this will also go through reviews. So not just our tag, but also, TOC and other people will review it, right? So,
and as far as I know, no other tag has had their charter approved yet. So even though we are over the deadline,
that's true.
you know, but Kashif has a really good point. We should really set an internal deadline for us, even if other folks aren't done yet.
But we
And
actually
so
had ours, right? It's not like we don't have ours. Now we're just trying to make it better, right? See, we got all the sections covered. I think that's actually great progress.
it is, yes. So to kind of go off of Kashif's action item, do we want to say like next week we want to work on trying to just, are we in alignment around peacefully summarizing, not trying to kind of just remove all of the text and bullet point everything, but at least try and address some of the areas where we have lists but in sentence form, and just kind of more of editorial or copyright fix up these sections and then just call it good. Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
Now, do we want to just chat about this one in the channel, or we do have a leads meeting, but we normally we didn't have everyone join that meeting. So otherwise we can just chat on the
Yeah, I think an action item for the leads meeting is probably just kind of reviewing. We already have the bulk of the content reviewed. I think for us, we can kind of take it as leads, making sure that things are kind of proofread and edited, for viewing. And then what we can do after that is we can update the PR after the leads meeting. And then we can then let everyone else know publicly, like, hey, it's in the PR. If you have any final comments or concerns in its final form that maybe we missed, we open it, kind of keep it open for folks. And then hopefully by the next general meeting, we have our final draft in PR form, and there we get any final comments and reviews out of the way.
All right. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Mike.